The scream was small, but it sliced through the quiet house like shattered glass. A man with tattoos up his arms, a gruff look, and a heart that had seen too many storms froze in place as he stepped into the child's bedroom. The morning sun filtered through yellow curtains, filling the room with warm light, but everything felt cold the moment he saw her. A little girl sat on the floor, shaking, clutching her stomach, tears streaming down her face as if her tiny world had collapsed. Something about the way she held herself, the way her eyes flickered with fear, stole the breath straight from his chest. This wasn't just pain. This was betrayal. And those words she whispered, words he wished he could unhear, would send a shock through every biker standing downstairs. It was the kind of moment that forced even the toughest men to confront the truth they never expected. Red heart, if you believe kindness and second chances can change lives, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. It truly helps the channel reach more hearts. He had come with his biker crew to help the girl's mother fix a broken fence and deliver groceries after hearing she was struggling, but no one expected to walk into a scene like this. The girl, barely 7, trembling in a purple hoodie, kept pressing her hands against her stomach as if trying to hold herself together. The man, their president, known among bikers for his steel nerves and unshakable resolve, felt his vision blur as he knelt before her. He wasn't easily shaken, but something inside him cracked when she quietly confessed what had happened. She said someone told her it wouldn't hurt, and she believed them. She trusted them. That trust was now shattered, leaving behind fear and confusion in a child far too young to understand why. The little girl had gone to a neighbor, a man she thought she could trust, to help with a small injury she got while playing outside. She had only scraped her knee, something harmless and ordinary, but the neighbor insisted he could fix it. Instead of helping her, he gave her something that made her stomach twist with pain. Not an intentional act of cruelty, but reckless negligence. A home remedy he mixed on his own, something he wasn't supposed to give to children at all. She had been too afraid to tell her mother, too scared of making things worse. She remembered him saying, in a gentle voice, that it wouldn't hurt. But now she felt worse than ever, and her fear had grown into something much bigger, fear of disappointing her mother, fear of being blamed, fear of trusting the wrong person again. The biker sat there with his hands shaking as guilt washed over him. He had seen men break, seen lives fall apart, but seeing a child suffer tore down every wall he had built over the years. He gently picked her up, cradling her in arms covered with tattoos that frightened strangers but made her feel safe in that moment. Every biker in the house watched in silence as he carried her to the living room, their hardened faces softening with worry. These men, known for roaring engines, leather jackets, and scars from old battles, suddenly looked like protectors standing guard over something precious. The girl's mother rushed forward, panic flooding her eyes as she finally understood the depth of her daughter's pain. She covered her mouth, her voice collapsing under the weight of regret, wishing she had noticed sooner. The bikers moved fast. One grabbed his phone to call for medical advice, another ran to the kitchen to get cool water, while the president sat with the child on his lap, whispering stories about bravery and strength to distract her from the sharp ache twisting in her belly. Every minute felt like an hour. The bikers who usually thrived on chaos now trembled at the quiet sound of a child trying, and failing, not to cry. The girl's breathing grew uneven, and her small fingers clutched the biker's vest with desperate trust. It was the kind of trust he had never earned from anyone so innocent before. His chest tightened at the thought. When the help finally arrived, a local nurse who lived nearby and owed the bikers a favor, the room filled with relief. She examined the girl, checked her symptoms, and quickly explained that the substance she had been given was not poisonous but much too strong for a child her size. It caused burning cramps and nausea, symptoms that left her terrified and in intense pain. With proper care, she would recover fully, but the emotional wound of being misled, even unintentionally, would take longer to heal. The president exhaled deeply, relief shaking through him like an earthquake. He held the girl's hand while the nurse treated her, refusing to move, refusing to let go. The other bikers stood around them in silence, each one thinking about their own wounds from childhood, their own broken trust, and how no child deserved to feel unsafe in their own home. Once the girl calmed down and the pain began to fade, she looked up at the biker, her face streaked with dried tears. She whispered that she didn't want to trust anyone anymore. It was a simple statement, but it hit the room with enough force to break every heart in it. The biker leaned closer and promised, not with words but with a soft, steady presence, that she didn't have to be afraid anymore. He and his brothers would make sure she felt safe. they would rebuild the trust one gentle moment at a time. For the next hours, the bikers stayed by her side, turning her room into a fortress of comfort. They fixed her toys, painted small butterfly designs with her crayons on leftover cardboard, and made her laugh again with silly faces and clumsy attempts at pretending they were brave warriors defeated by her stuffed animals. Slowly, the fear in her eyes began to fade, replaced by fragile hope. By the time the sun began to set and the golden glow filled her room once more, the biker president finally allowed himself to breathe. The little girl sat beside him, leaning against his arm as if it were the safest place in the world. Her mother stood nearby, tears in her eyes, not from fear this time, but from gratitude she couldn't put into words. Red Heart, if this story touched your heart, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. It helps the channel more than you know. Before ending, here is a special request. Speech balloon, please comment below, kindness protects the innocent. That single sentence, spoken by thousands of viewers, will help spread the message this story carries. The girl eventually drifted into peaceful sleep, her breathing soft and steady, while the bikers quietly stepped out of the room. Their engines would roar again tomorrow, but tonight, they left with something far more powerful than they brought in, a renewed belief that even the smallest act of protection, the smallest moment of compassion, could change a life forever. And for that little girl, the world would never feel quite as frightening again.